All right, when we open up a book in the Bible, like First Thessalonians, it's really easy to just see it as, an old letter. But what if I told you it's actually more like the last chapter in a super dramatic story? We're going to peel back the layers here because to really get the letter, you've got to understand the city, the culture, and the absolute chaos that led to it being written in the first place.
Yeah, you heard that right. Before even one word of this letter was put down on paper, there was a full-on riot in a major Roman city. There was a high-stakes escape in the middle of the night, and a brand new community of believers was left behind, facing some serious pressure. This letter is basically a message sent right back into that storm.
So to get this story, we've got to start with the main stage where all this action unfolds, the city of Thessalonica itself. And listen, this was not some quiet little town in the middle of nowhere. This place was a major player, a real powerhouse in the Roman Empire. What you've got to understand is this city had a long strategic history. I mean, it was founded centuries before Paul ever showed up. It grew so important that it became the capital of the entire Roman province of Macedonia. And get this, during a Roman civil war, they picked the winning side and got rewarded with the status of a free city. That meant they had a decent amount of self-government. So this was a proud city that was used to having power. The bottom line is this. Thessalonica was a bustling, thriving metropolis. It was perfectly located right on the Via Egnatia, which was basically the interstate highway of the ancient world. It connected Rome with all the eastern parts of the empire. So just imagine the constant flow of traffic, of trade, of new people and new ideas. This was a place where news and new movements could travel incredibly fast. Okay, so we've established the city was a powerhouse. But what was it actually like to live there? What did people believe? Because this, right here, is where the central conflict of our story really kicks off. The city was a total smorgasbord of religion. I mean, you had all the classic Greek gods, but also popular gods imported from Egypt and other places. But the two you really need to pay attention to are the ones at the bottom here. The Roman emperor cult, where honoring the emperor was basically your civic duty, a sign of loyalty to Rome, and a local Jewish synagogue, which represented a completely different monotheistic worldview. See, faith wasn't a private thing back then. It was public, it was competitive, and it was tied up in your identity. And it wasn't just about which god you picked from the menu. The wider Greco-Roman culture had a very, very different view on personal morality, especially when it came to sex. It was pretty much the polar opposite of the standards held by both the Jewish community and, as it turns out, this new Christian one. And that cultural friction is going to become a huge deal. So into this complex, politically charged, and religiously diverse environment walks the Apostle Paul and his team. And they don't just bring another option for the religious marketplace. Oh no, they bring a message that's about to turn the entire system completely on its head. And this chart just lays out the clash perfectly. The culture screamed, your number one loyalty is to Caesar. Paul's message was, nope. Your ultimate loyalty is to King Jesus. The culture said, hey, worship as many gods as you want. The message said, there is only one true God. The culture was sexually permissive. The message called for a totally new standard of sexual holiness. You can see how this wasn't just some friendly philosophical debate. This was a direct challenge to the political, religious, and social foundations of the entire city. And a message this radical, it doesn't just stay a message for long. It quickly explodes into a movement. And well, that's when things get really dangerous. So Paul is only in the city for about a month. That's it. But in that short amount of time, his message just takes off. A huge, diverse group of people, we're talking both Jews and non-Jews, turn away from their old gods and pledge their allegiance to Jesus as their true king. A new community is born, right there in the heart of Thessalonica. This, right here, is the accusation that lights the fuse. And notice what the charge is. It's not about blasphemy against the Greek gods. It's political. It's treason. To proclaim that there was another king was a direct threat to Caesar's authority. And in the Roman Empire, that was a line you just did not cross. And just like that, everything escalates. People who are opposed to this new movement stir up a mob. The situation goes from preaching in a synagogue to a full-blown riot that throws the entire city into chaos. The danger gets so real, so intense, that the new believers, this brand new church, they have to act fast. For the safety of Paul and Silas, and probably for their own safety too, they rush them out of the city under the cover of darkness. It's a sudden, it's forced, and it's got to be a really painful separation. So all that action, all that drama, that is the setup. That's the entire backstory.
And it is the reason Paul finally picks up a pen to write the letter that we now call 1 Thessalonians. Paul is just wrecked with anxiety over this young community that he was forced to abandon. I mean, can you imagine leaving new friends behind right in the middle of a crisis like that? He tries to go back more than once, but some obstacle he calls a spiritual opposition, keeps blocking him. He's stuck, and he is sick with worry. So here's how it all played out. Paul is separated. He can't get back. His anxiety is just building and building, so he does the next best thing. He sends his trusted friend, Timothy, to go check on them. And then the news comes back. Timothy finds Paul down in the city of Corinth and gives him this incredible report. Against all odds, the Thessalonian church isn't just surviving the persecution, they are thriving. They are standing firm in their faith. And this news just fills Paul with this overwhelming sense of relief and joy. And it's from that exact emotional high point that he sits down and writes this letter.
And that question brings us right to the letter itself. Just think about it for a second. What do you say to a group of brand new believers who just watched their leaders get run out of town, who are now facing hostility from their own neighbors because of their new faith? What kind of encouragement, what kind of correction, and what kind of hope would they need to hear in that moment? That's the question to keep in your mind as you start to dig into the letter of 1 Thessalonians.